There's no question that the recent pandemic created a lot of unique business opportunities. Some businesses thrived while other businesses simply struggled. Now, Etsy is definitely one of those companies, one of those stocks that gets thrown into that work from home type bucket. But is Etsy a company that just benefited from the pandemic that sold a bunch of masks? Or is this one a long-term winner for your portfolio? The first thing that comes to mind is, well, wait, there's Amazon. What about Amazon? Well, Amazon is my largest holding. And Amazon, of course, is an e-commerce powerhouse. Amazon has deep pockets doing $490 billion in annual revenue. Etsy, on the other hand, $2.3 billion. Now, the thing that a lot of people forget or maybe just don't know about is that Amazon actually dropped Amazon Homemade in 2015. Now, since Amazon Homemade was dropped in 2015, Etsy has been on a tear. Why is that? Well, I'm going to explain through this video. I'm going to go through some fundamentals, explain why I think they have a niche, why they have a moat, and I'll explain how some recent acquisitions have made this a really interesting kind of three-headed monster e-commerce niche. This is one of my top mid-cap growth stocks. I own it in my portfolio. You're going to want to hear more about this one. Without further ado, let's get started. I want to explain how I even got interested in Etsy in the first place. When you first think of Etsy, you think, well, that's not really for me. That's, homemade crafts, things like that. It's probably not where most middle-aged guys are going to shop, right? So as you might know, I have a barbecue channel on YouTube. It's just for fun. It's a small channel. And I wanted to create, I do a lot of entertaining, and I wanted to create these plates, custom plates. Really, at first, it wasn't even custom plates. I wanted to just buy some barbecue plates. So I went online, this was during the pandemic, and I went online and I was looking at Macy's, I was looking all over the place, looking for just plates that had barbecue design on it. Now, all I really wanted, guys, was just something really simple, a barbecue themed plate that I could use when I host and when I shoot my videos. And what I found, and I quickly got frustrated with, I looked online everywhere you could buy plates. And I looked on Amazon, I looked on Macy's, I looked anywhere you could possibly think. I actually did, Google searches trying to find just barbecue themed plates. And I didn't really find much at all. And the ones I did find were pretty corny. And I ran across this listing that happened to be on Etsy. And I think the lady's name was Jennifer from California. And I had no idea really what Etsy even did, which is, shame on me as an investor. I probably should have been invested in this company a long time ago. But I ended up going through this listing and I contacted this person and said, hey, I'm looking to do this. Here's some ideas. Within a couple hours, I got a reply and she was like, this is how I can do it. I actually hand make the plates. I hand make these plates. I put them in my own kiln. I paint them. I hand paint them and I ship them to you. And the price was less than what I could get for a generic theme one that was kind of tacky and wasn't even high quality. These were ceramic plates, handmade, legit stuff here. This is really cool stuff. I got to put my name personalized on it. I got to pick the actual pictures that went on it. Really, whatever I wanted, she could create for me. And I thought, this is a really cool thing. So I ended up ordering these plates, absolutely loved them. And then I started looking at the business model. I started to investigate the stock. I ended up buying some shares of Etsy. So I'm going to go into some slides here. But before I do that, I really just want to talk about some high level stats. I mean, they're expanding their profit margin, which I think will be important. If you look at their revenue, the revenue will decelerate down to about 32% in 2021. Their revenue was off the charts during the pandemic. Of course, everybody was staying at home. They were selling a lot of things like masks that you couldn't get anywhere else. And basically what Etsy does is it creates a marketplace for sellers and for buyers. And now they can make videos. There's all kinds of things they can do. They've also done a couple of acquisitions. They acquired Depop for $1.6 billion just recently in the last month or so. They also acquired Reverb for $270 million in 2019. This creates what I call kind of this three-headed niche e-commerce monster. And I'll go into detail of what each of those three segments do in this video. So let's dive into this business some more. I'm going to show you some more fundamental analysis. At the end, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the share price, where it's at now. I'm excited to bring this one to you. It's part of the top mid-cap growth stock series. This is the second video. The first one was Zillow Group. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the future videos. Let's get started. Okay, guys, on your screen are earnings from May. Now, I do want to point out they have earnings coming up here in early August, so keep that in mind. You can see they absolutely crushed it in Q1 21, 141% year-over-year revenue growth at $551 million. Now, you can see here 160 million total buyers. The active buyers is 90 million. That's a 91% year-over-year increase. And they have 16 million new and reactivated buyers. That's 113% year-over-year increase. Focus areas for 2021, personalization, buyer pathways, semantic gap, and infrastructure. Also doing more with listing videos and conversations. In fact, you can see here the video listings are accelerating 36% quarter over quarter, 5 million uploads. The thing about Etsy, guys, is people want more and more personalized items, personalized gifts, and Etsy is that marketplace that makes that happen. So I mentioned earlier that Etsy acquired Reverb back in 2019. So what is Reverb? It's an online marketplace for new, used, and vintage music gear. The website was founded in 2013, but essentially, guys, Reverb is a marketplace for buyers and sellers when you think of music instruments. If that isn't niche, I don't know what is. Now, you see different stats in different places, but what you need to know is that the numbers are really impressive in terms of growth. So active sellers, 4.5 million as of last quarter in their earnings. That's a 70% year-over-year growth. And then this other number here, this $2,483, that's the average made per seller. Now, this slide is really interesting because it's showing you their cash balance of $1.7 billion. Now, this is from May, right after earnings. Slightly after this, they went out and they bought Depop. So they're acquiring Depop for $1.6 billion. So coincidentally, they had $1.7 billion in cash and they're buying Depop for $1.6 billion. And that's mostly a cash deal, actually. And that's really good for shareholders because they're not diluting shareholders and they're not having to borrow a bunch of money to go out and make this acquisition happen. So you might be wondering, what is Depop? And that's really important because $1.6 billion is quite a bit of money for an app that many people might not know much about. So Depop is an online marketplace platform that allows people to buy and sell clothes and other items, both new and used. Anyone can easily set up a shop to sell either brand new items or just items they have laying around. Nearly 90% of users are Gen Z. I think Depop actually fits really well with the Gen Z and the younger generations overall because you think of, self-expression, you think of sustainability, like environmentally conscious. You think of entrepreneurship. Those things are all really important to younger people. If you go onto like TikTok or Instagram, entrepreneurship is a really big deal. Everybody wants to be their own business and be successful. And I think that this brand really relates to that. Depop is the 10th most popular site for teens in the United States in terms of traffic volume, which you might be surprised to hear. 1 in 3 16 to 24-year-olds in the United Kingdom have downloaded this app. I mentioned earlier, $1.625 billion primarily in cash. Depop will operate as a standalone marketplace run by its existing leadership team, which I think is important. Expected to close third quarter of 2021. Something like this probably isn't going to get much pushback, so it'll probably get approved. Depop's financials really fast, $650 million, at 100% year-over-year growth. Their 2020 revenue is also 100% year-over-year growth at $70 million, and their take rate is over 10%. So one thing to note here, guys, is it says they expect Depop to be in line with their top line growth, but modestly dilute the Etsy adjusted EBITDA margin. So something to pay attention to. So here are those three brands, kind of the three heads of that unique niche type e-commerce monster: Etsy, Reverb, and Depop. So here are their core geographies. They're looking at $1.7 trillion in total addressable market, or TAM. Projected compound annual growth rate, 39% between now and 2024. Depop is focused on Gen Z, community-led, and purpose-driven. I talked about this briefly earlier: self-expression, sustainability, and entrepreneurial opportunities. 46% of Gen Z say self-expression is important. 90% are focused on environmental issues, and 50% of Gen Z, according to this poll, want to start their own business. You can see Depop, their scale. They've scaled massively from 2011 to current. So Depop calls their app engaging, intuitive, frictionless, large and growing audience, 28 million users. So this is showing this kind of pinwheel marketplace model. So you got more buyers, more GMS, more sellers, more revenue. All three of these businesses can really complement each other. And if you look at it too, if you look at the segments, so Reverb and you think of Etsy, it's much more focused on Gen X and millennials, and Depop is more that Gen Z. So they're kind of trying to fill out those different generations with different products and different goods. And I think it makes a lot of sense when you look at the synergies of the three businesses. They have a lot of synergies, and I think putting them under one kind of umbrella, almost like a conglomerate, makes a lot of sense. This is a good slide. They call it the flywheel, Depop flywheeler. So more users, more buyers, it kind of just snowballs, right? You get more growth this way. This shows US population and UK population, lots of room for growth, both in these countries and elsewhere. One quick thing to note, guys, Etsy added 16 million buyers last quarter, which is up to about 90 million unique buyers and up 90% year over year. And the thing is it's attracted a lot more sellers as well. And some of those sellers might go away, but a lot of them are still businesses that are trying to sell their product. If anything, Etsy is going to continue to grow its marketplace with more sellers and more buyers. It's really cool as a seller because Etsy only charges you 20 cents for a 4-month listing if you're a creator or a seller. Etsy also takes 5% per transaction fee. Another thing that people don't realize is Etsy has their own payments platform, and they get 3% on every Etsy payment that they do, as well as a 25-cent processing fee. So they got a little bit of a fintech e-commerce twist when you think of Etsy. What's really interesting here, guys, if you look at their guidance, they've guided down, which is part of the reason why the stocks got hit. Now stay tuned, because I'm gonna actually show you a chart and give you some opinions on the price. Of course, I'm recording this now and the price is going up as I'm recording this. I tried to get this to you as soon as I could. But if you look at their guidance, they've actually adjusted their guidance down. Their revenue growth, they have guidance here, May 5th, 2021, their guidance was 15 to 25%, much less than it was in previous quarters. So they're setting expectations pretty low here, and I think they might actually be able to beat these. All right, guys, next I'm going to show you a chart and give you some opinions on where I think the stock is headed from here. Now, before I do that, please definitely subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. When you subscribe, there's a little bell to get notifications. Make sure you turn that bell on so that you get notified every time a new video drops. So Etsy, I've got a Patreon Discord. You can join, go on Patreon, look for Fired Up Wealth. You can join Patreon, have access to our Discord. I've got a channel in Discord you can see on the other side of the screen. Basically, I have a screenshot from what I posted. On June 7th, I posted that I added to Etsy today. The chart looks good here. If the market holds up, I think we can rebound to around $200 per share. Now, if you look at the share price, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Now, if you look at the share price around that posting, it was in this channel right here. So you could have got it around $165. In fact, if you would have bought this stock around the time of the alert in Discord, you would have made about 25%. If you would have bought it about $160, $200 is a 25% return. A 25% return in just over a month, not a bad call. And it's popped up to 207. It kind of retreated and it's held up, and now it looks really bullish. It's sitting at $200 right now. So that was a really good call. You could have had a nice return on that one. And basically the chart shows you this wedge. I thought it was going to break out to the upside. Here's another screenshot, showing where I was explaining to the group that I was going to break out to the upside. One thing to note is that there are earnings coming up here in the beginning of August. So that is something to keep in mind, because the fundamentals can always, trump the technicals, so to speak. If the earnings are really bad, the technicals just won't matter that much. But with that said, the technical setup here looks pretty good. And I actually have a feeling the earnings might be better than expected, because they did, as I showed you earlier, they guided a little bit lower. So if you look at that pink line I just drew, I think it probably comes up to about there. So if you look at the 227, that was the previous high before it broke down way to 153. Obviously 153 was a great opportunity in my opinion. I look at Etsy as a long-term investment. So what I personally would do, and I'm not a financial advisor, I can't tell you what to buy or sell, but if I were going to buy this stock, I think it's set up pretty good here. It looks like it's getting some resistance around that $200 number, which is pretty normal. Anytime you see $100, $150, those are natural psychology lines where you get resistance. I think if it can break above this though, you might want to wait for some confirmation. If it breaks above, $202, $203, just watch the candles, the daily candles. Right now it's bullish, and I think it probably could break out and go higher. If the overall market sells off, none of the technicals are going to matter. If the earnings come in bad, the technicals won't matter. But from here, it looks like a pretty bullish setup. It's going to come back to that 207. If it can break past that 207, I would look for 227. If the earnings are good, it could even do an extension, maybe even all-time highs with some time. But to me, this is a long-term investment. I would dollar cost average, so I wouldn't buy all the shares, right here at $200. I'd wait in case it does pull back with earnings or what have you. And I would really take a long-term approach to this stock, because I think it's going to have some growing pains when you think of these acquisitions and how they can integrate them into their business. So definitely keep in mind, this is not something that necessarily is a quick trade. It's more of a long-term investment idea. I think Etsy is one of the best mid-cap growth stocks that you can buy. It's in my series along with Zillow Group to date. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the future videos. I appreciate your time and attention. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.